Is the agonizing death of over 100 sailors the absolute beginning of World War III?
Right now, the entire globe is completely focused on the devastating incidents in the region.
International attention remains fixed on the tragic loss of the prominent regional leader recently.
The international community still mourns the devastating loss of countless innocent civilian lives.
Global cameras continue to broadcast the endless piles of smoking rubble across the capital city.
But in the deep blue and silent waters of the Indian Ocean, the U.S. military did the unthinkable.
The most modern and heavily armed regional naval vessel has now been completely buried in the deep sea.
Just 24 hours before this strike, the vessel was warmly welcomed by the Indian military.
Now, over 100 naval personnel have tragically met a permanent and watery grave tonight.
Some top geopolitical experts are calling this a remarkably smart strategic move by the U.S. forces.
However, other international observers label this action as the biggest betrayal of maritime trust. To truly understand this terror, we must look back at naval history from over 4 decades ago.
The world has not witnessed such a dramatic naval destruction since the Falklands War in 1982.
Since that historical conflict, no global power has dared to deliberately sink a major warship. But now that the United States has taken this unprecedented step, a massive global question remains. Is the United States military officially igniting the devastating sparks of a third world war?
The breaking reports emerging from the coast of Sri Lanka are making defense experts sweat tonight.
This is definitely not just an ordinary military incident or a standard tactical marine operation.
It is a chilling story of maritime death that the international community will never forget.
For the United States, this is the first devastating attack of its kind since the Second World War. It appears the U.S. has hammered the final nail into the fragile coffin of global peace.
The era of diplomatic dialogue is completely over, and the devastating age of ruin begins.
This means absolute ruin for the Middle East, the United States, and the entire world. The Iranian military was already outraged by the tragic loss of their supreme leader.
The grief over the tragic deaths of innocent civilians continues to burn.
Following this catastrophic naval sinking, Tehran might cross the boundary of total madness. If retaliation happens, global oil prices will instantly skyrocket to unprecedented heights. Should the Russian leader or Beijing intervene, a terrifying nuclear attack could follow.
The question is no longer if Tehran will retaliate, but how horrifying the revenge will be.
This is exactly why this developing story will completely alter the trajectory of our world.
Please subscribe to Global Frontline Reports for the latest factual updates on this war.
Will this shocking maritime disaster instantly transform into a catastrophic global conflict?
This was not just a ship sinking, but the sudden death of international peace agreements.
The terrifying consequences of this strike could permanently redraw the entire global map. The biggest immediate threat is that the Indian Ocean has now become a dangerous death zone.
Until recently, these international waters were considered the safest for global commerce.
But this aggressive U.S. military strike has explicitly proven that absolutely no one is safe.
Every commercial oil tanker navigating these maritime routes now sails in the shadow of death.
If Tehran decides to block the Strait of Hormuz, the global oil supply will abruptly halt.
Fuel prices could easily surge past unprecedented levels, paralyzing the world economy.
Will this American action push the entire globe straight to the brink of mass starvation?
However, the secondary danger is even greater as the catastrophic nuclear threat grows. The Iranian leadership now stands at a very dangerous crossroads with nothing left to lose.
Since the sudden and devastating loss of the key regional leader back on February 28th.
And the horrific collateral damage that claimed countless innocent lives.
The political and military establishment in Tehran has been absolutely consumed by rage.
If a single nuclear button is pressed now, humanity will immediately face a global war. Are we truly prepared for the absolute devastation following this silent American strike?
Currently, the intense fighting is strictly confined to the Middle Eastern territories.
But will the dark ashes of this brutal conflict soon cover the skies of the entire planet?
Does this fatal event mark the ultimate collapse of sophisticated global diplomacy? Are we entering a terrifying new era where the most heavily armed nation dictates everything?
Was sinking the Iranian vessel in the Indian Ocean a smart move or a horrific betrayal?
Half the world fiercely defends this unexpected action as a brilliant strategic maneuver.
Meanwhile, the other half accuses the United States of violently destroying international laws.
Was this unprecedented assault simply a brutal execution of maritime diplomatic trust?
The vessel was completely destroyed while returning from the friendly MILAN 2026 exercise.
Following the strike, the U.S. Defense Secretary delivered a shockingly cold press briefing.
He proudly labeled this controversial operation as a brilliantly executed quiet death.
He called it the most significant naval victory for the American military since 1945.
The U.S. military essentially warned the entire world that absolutely no one is safe now.
Officials proudly labeled it a quiet death since nobody hears torpedoes underwater.
But the agonizing cries of over 100 grieving families are echoing globally.
Many critics argue this operation was not just clever, but pure global intimidation.
The United States is increasingly being viewed internationally as an apex predator.
This predatory strike has profoundly shocked even close strategic partners like India.
Did the Pentagon intentionally choose Indian territorial boundaries for this strike? Did Washington deliberately time this brutal ambush right after the ship left port?
Indian naval forces had just hosted them with grand hospitality and great respect.
Yet American military assets were silently waiting in the dark waters for an ambush.
The tragic victims were sailors who had just departed from a peaceful, friendly visit.
Can the Indian government ever repay the heavy moral debt of this maritime tragedy?
The U.S. military ruglessly proved that diplomatic welcomes cannot stop their killers.
Launching this strike near the Sri Lankan coast seems like a calculated strategy.
This aggressive move directly challenges New Delhi and its regional ocean dominance.
The major geopolitical question now is whether India will remain completely silent. Is the heavy price of diplomatic neutrality the tragic loss of 100 Iranian lives? Exactly what kind of terrifying underwater hunter executed this devastating attack?
A deadly torpedo emerged from the dark depths, wiping out over 100 lives instantly.
Recent intelligence reports confirm a Virginia-class nuclear submarine was used.
This advanced American stealth submarine tracked the Iranian ship like a ghost.
It silently stalked the target before launching the devastating torpedo strike. Utilizing advanced torpedoes proves the U.S. military wanted absolute destruction.
They ruthlessly ensured the targeted vessel had 0 seconds to recover at sea.
This catastrophic naval event marks a colossal failure for Iranian intelligence. The American silent strike has practically rewritten the entire book of warfare.
This bloody maritime operation has permanently changed how naval wars are fought.
While some fiercely argue that absolutely everything is considered fair in war,
Sinking a peaceful vessel on a friendship mission seems completely unjustified.
The terrifying devastation seen off the coast of Sri Lanka breaks every heart.
Will the devastated families of these 180 sailors get justice? The horrific accounts from the Sri Lankan naval forces are truly spine-chilling.
Rescuers were visibly sweating after witnessing the absolute horror on the water.
They did not just find ship debris floating on the surface of the Indian Ocean.
Over 80 lifeless bodies were recovered amid a massive black blanket of oil.
Out of the 180 crew members, only 32 were rescued.
Over 70 naval personnel remain completely missing in the dark ocean depths.
Tragically, the bodies of these lost sailors might never be recovered from sea.
These courageous men were dedicated soldiers operating on a strategic warship. Their profession involved constantly dancing with the extreme dangers of death.
However, even in brutal wars, there are universally respected rules of combat.
Ancient military traditions forbid striking a welcomed guest from the shadows.
These deceased military men were not deployed on an active battlefield mission.
They were simply returning from a very peaceful diplomatic mission in India.
facing an enemy bravely in direct combat is considered true military martyrdom.
But launching a stealth torpedo at returning guests is cold-blooded murder.
Imagine the immense pain of the mothers who watched their sons smile yesterday.
They will desperately ask why their peaceful sons were buried deep in the sea.
The floating wreckage of Sri Lanka screams a tragic truth about global power.
Innocent lives always become disposable pawns in these massive global games. The deep anger on the streets of Tehran is heavily mixed with profound sorrow.
Sinking has violently fueled the raging fire, ignited on February 28th.
Iranian military guards view this as a direct assault on their national honor. Voices within the nation are now demanding an ultimate and apocalyptic war.
The U.S. has completely burned down the established rules of global engagement. Do you think the current global landscape has become an absolutely unpredictable factor? Should the international community remain completely silent about this tragedy?
Has the devastating spark of a terrifying Third World War officially started? Please subscribe to Global Frontline Reports and comment your thoughts below.